once said, "Oh, child, things are going to get easier." Keep your head up, Saints fans. This is That Saints Pod. I am V Patty V. We've got Big Easy Nation, a.k.a. Jacob, my man over here, and we have Dave Rainey in the shadows. He's actually not with us today, but you know this setup. He's our producer, and he's the leader of the show. He is going to guide us, as always, just like Derek Carr is supposed to guide the Saints offense. I don't know. I'm reaching here. We're ready to go, though. I'm going to pass it to Dave Rainey. We're in for another That Saints Pod.
First things first, hot topic of the week. Davante Adams. First question, yes or no? Do you make the trade?
Most obvious, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes. It's a super obvious answer. Do you want me to elaborate on certain scenarios, or do you have more questions around this?
I have some more questions, but go ahead and kind of elaborate on why you make the trade.
I mean, you absolutely. I think it's pretty obvious why you make the trade, right? You've had some injuries with the wide receiver core already, and it already was showing itself to be a little thin. I know we're running a lot of two tight end sets, but I mean, we've talked about it on this pod a few times. I think every Saints fan everywhere has joked about Michael Thomas being needed. I personally feel like Michael Thomas might be past his prime. Anyways, Davante Adams is not past his prime, and he is a big body wide receiver that can get open. That's when healthy.
Speaking of the chemistry, Derek Carr and Adams just recently had like a 1,500-yard season in 2022.
Yeah.
So it's already there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you're just speaking more to the reason, right? Took the word right out of my mouth. I don't think I need to say anything else.
Jacob, why do you think you make the trade?
I don't know, like a receiving core, injury away from being kind of back where we were, just having one really good receiver and then huge drop off. And if you add Davante, it definitely strengthens that receiving core.
Yeah. Yeah. You add Davante to a bunch that, I mean, Shaheed has stepped up. Shaheed looks like a real receiver. Olave has stepped up. He's actually being the person that everybody expected. You add Davante to that and boom, you got a trio. I mean, that's, you can start expanding your sets. You've got running backs that can catch the ball at the backfield. It really just unlocks your offense a lot more, especially with Taysom being out.
Brings in more veteran leadership too to the team.
Yeah.
Need that.
Maybe it helps. You don't know how the locker room feels. I'd assume by this point, everybody's on Carr's side, right? Like most people have bought in at this point. But if they haven't, if you do bring in Carr's best buddy, longtime friend, maybe not best buddy, but longtime friend, someone who clearly respects him and is a veteran, maybe that helps.
This season, he's only played 3 games. And I don't know if he played a full 3 games because he did have that hamstring injury. Yeah. Wink, wink. I don't know if he actually has a hamstring injury, whatever's going on there. 18 catches, 209 yards, a touchdown. He's still averaging almost 12 yards of reception. So he's still making an impact there. I don't know how realistic it is that we get him or not. Supposedly Schefter says we're one of the teams that he would be interested in. Y'all might know, is it our receivers coach that has like a past with him?
Keith Williams. Yeah.
No, you got to say Keith Williams.
Yeah. Not only does he have a pass with them, apparently he helped raise him or something like that. I was listening to a story earlier.
That's what I was going to say. His quote was, he's like a son to me.
Yeah.
So there's a connection there. Obviously the connection with Derek Carr.
And Derek Carr also nearly went to the Jets and he chose New Orleans. So
yeah. I mean,
that is the other team that is an obvious team to watch, also the Jets, as far as he goes. Now, what would you be comfortable with giving up? They say they would like a 2nd-round pick. If there's multiple teams, I think the Jets would probably be pretty desperate, so I think they might up the price a little bit. In my opinion, what would you be comfortable giving up?
You know what's interesting to me? I don't think the Jets are that desperate. I want to kind of push against that for a second. The Jets have a pretty deep wide receiver core as it is, right? Like, granted, one of them's coming off an injury. But you have Garrett Wilson. You have Mike Williams. People forget he even exists. That dude was a dog in Los Angeles, San Diego, whatever you want to call it. And he's coming off of an injury. He's getting up to speed. You still have Lazard, who is Aaron Rodgers' buddy. Like, yes, they could add Davante, and I'm sure they would love to. But I don't know if the desperation is necessarily there.
I'd argue their offense isn't necessarily working, even with the players you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, Mike Williams is still somewhat of a non-factor right now, but he's coming back from injury. Something is off with Garrett Wilson. I don't know if it's just they need to build up more chemistry.
100%.
Brees Hall is only averaging like 3 yards a carry, down from 4.5 last year. So like he looks like the second best running back on that team right now, to be honest. The whole offense just seems off. And this seems like you only have maybe a year or two left with Aaron Rodgers. So that's when I say desperate. I mean, they're desperate to win with Aaron Rodgers. And if this is the final year.
Yeah, I think you're seeing growing pains. You can see watching their games that they're just not on the same page is really what the problem is. And maybe Davante comes in and they have a good chemistry, so maybe that works out for them. So maybe they want to make that move because of that. But I think that there's enough talent there. They got to buy into what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. And I think that that's what their problem is right now. Like most of the team is kind of running the offense they expected to run through Nathaniel Hackett, which, let's be honest, I'm not going to say anymore. They got to run Aaron Rodgers' offense. And I know Hackett is a Rodgers guy, but Rodgers runs that ship. And if they're not on the same page, nothing's going to work.
Yeah, to your point of Adams coming in and already having chemistry with Rodgers, it's not a coincidence that Allen Lazard is the leading receiver on the team right now. Jacob, what are you willing to give up?
Definitely a second-round pick. I saw some people like proposing a trade, like giving up Paulson Adebo along with the second-round pick. I don't know. I get like that PI last week was frustrating, but I don't know if you could give somebody up that young that has potential.
I think the thought there is that you're deep enough. You're deep enough too. You have Kool-Aid. You have Alante in the slot. You still have Marshawn. I think the thought is, hey, we're deep enough. You may as well. I think Paulson's a dog, but I mean,
well, you also having to decide, is it this offseason whether to pay him or not?
Right.
Yeah. And if you have Kool-Aid, you have Alante. Rico Payton showed up in the preseason, and I always believe that Dennis Allen will just make these guys grow on trees. These cornerbacks grow on trees. If the offer was a second-round pick and Paulson Adebo, I think I'm pulling the trigger because I have faith in Dennis Allen to continue to. I don't know. We saw him lose Marshawn, and the defense wasn't didn't lose a step. Yeah. So losing Paulson Adebo doesn't really worry me too much.
Yeah.
So if you start getting into the conversation of first-round pick, that's where I'm going to draw the line. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you see him go. I don't think anyone is going to for a first round pick. And it's not that Davante Adams isn't talented. It's that he is 30 years. How old is he? He's in his 30s,
31.
Right? Yeah, you're not giving up a first round pick for a 31-year-old wide receiver. No one is doing that.
Coming off of multiple injuries in each of the last 2 or 3 seasons. I think it was minor injuries, but he's still. Go ahead, Jacob.
I would say any team who picks him up has to pay him too.
Yeah, that's another challenge that I was considering. I mean, listen, you know me, Dave, you know me, Jacob. I don't know if I've said this in front of you, but I'm definitely a caps not real type of guy. I just believe they can figure things out if they need to. They can signing bonuses and restructures, and there's things that you can do.
That's got to be tougher to do mid-season, I would imagine. I don't know for a fact. He's got a $25 million cap hit. I think he's got 3 years left on his deal, but there's a way out of it after this year, I think is what I remember reading. So, that's another thing. What are you willing to, we probably aren't nobody's paying him $35 million next year. Nobody.
No.
Is what I think.
It was only 13 though for this year, the remainder of this year, right?
For this year. But my point is it's going to be almost a 1-year thing. Because nobody's paying him $35 million next year. I don't care how good he is. He's just not a $35 million receiver anymore. So it's what are you willing to give up for 1 year of it? And not even a full year. Because you think about it, you get him next week. It takes 2 weeks for him to really get acclimated. You get half a season of Davante Adams.
Right.
Is that worth what?
No, which is probably why you see I have this. My gut tells me he doesn't even go for a second round pick. If I'm being dead honest, I mean, you saw Amari Cooper, not that they're the same player, but you saw Amari Cooper years ago go for what was a fifth, fourth round pick, something like that. And he was much younger, and he was coming off of a good season. Granted, he's not Davante Adams, but I think that's kind of what you're going to see. You're probably going to see a third or a fourth, more likely, maybe a play.
He'll go for a second if the Raiders eat a lot of that contract.
Right.
I think is how that plays out. If whoever it is takes on the full contract, there's no way he goes for
I
it.
think the Raiders have a lot of cap space too, so they could definitely.
Yeah, and I know he's a good receiver, but I don't think there's going to be a bunch of teams lining up to get him. Number one, there's not a ton of teams that can afford him, I would assume. And then, like you said, he's 31 years old. Some people are going to see this and be driven away by it and call him a diva and all of this kind of stuff. You know, like there'll be teams just pushed away by the way he's behaving. Not that I think he's behaving weird, but some teams will view it that way. Like, I think that's just a fact of life. So I think it's only going to be 2 or 3 teams that really make a push for him.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that tweet that says the Saints were close, but at the end of the day,
of course,
blah, blah, blah. I'm be like, okay.
Or that like mystery team pops in.
Tails.
Yeah. You know, I say that also, but a lot of times when that happens, the guy we tried to go after tends to not work out wherever he ends up, and we're like, "Whew, somebody really helped us dodge a bullet there." Deshaun.
His name's
The last question I had about Davante, and then we can move on, is say you get him. How much does he actually help what's wrong with this team? I know we talk about the depth, the lack of receiver depth, but I don't at the moment with the 2 guys healthy, I don't think receiver is an issue necessarily. So how much does he actually improve the team?
I really think kind of like what you're saying with Garrett Wilson, his struggles over there. I think he could really help Chris Olave and take Chris Olave to the next level.
Yeah.
And kind of get him to where he wants to be.
Basically free up space for him because more eyes are on Davante, you think? Dave, you make a good point. I was thinking that as well, because I was thinking just in general earlier, I was thinking of the struggles of the offense, which I'm sure we'll get into. I think having another playmaker always helps, right? Like that's the easy answer in losing.
Yeah, you're not going to, if you have the opportunity to get him, you go get him.
Right. I think you're right. I think he definitely frees up some space for Olave. Not that Olave has needed it. Olave's gotten open. Olave's made great catches. You've had other struggles that have kept you from getting the ball to Olave. So I don't know. I think that's a good point. I don't have an answer for
it. The way I think he helps, I think we kind of brushed or touched on it last week, is he's the big body guy that if Carr needs to hit a 3-step drop and get a pass out quick because the offensive line can't hold up in a game, he can do that. Like, not to say not to say again that Olave or Shaheed can't do it, but like you're not really trying to throw these slant routes to these smaller body guys and get them killed. Davante is somebody that can take those hits, work in the little ugly areas right there, right by the line of scrimmage, and I think that's how he helps. Does it add 3 wins to our win total by getting him? I don't know, but I don't he doesn't make your team worse.
Oh, for sure.
So if you can afford it and you're not giving up a ton, like we're saying, you do it. You absolutely do it. Especially this is a team that keeps operating like they're all in. This is not the time to get, gun shy.
It does bring the question up of, I think Jono or somebody brought this up on Twitter, right? Like everybody's talking about they really don't want Derek Carr long term. They really don't want Dennis Allen long term. Everybody's been dipping their toe in this season because of the early success. But if you commit to someone like Davante, if you bring him in, that's basically like tripling down on, hey, Derek Carr's our guy, right?
But is it? Because it's a 1 year, it's a half a season thing.
Yeah, if you look at it like that. I know that you're saying it's a half season thing, but what if it's not? Is there an out? Like, can they cut him? Is there what's the relief there? Do they have to restructure? I don't know his contract.
From what I read, you can get how to get out of it. I don't know, but you can get out of it after this year. It's built in to where you don't have to pay him the $35 million. Whether there's dead money that comes with it, I don't know for sure. I'm not a cap person. I'm sure Nick has something on that. That's their thing. But I watched videos, I read things that said he does have an out after this year. So I don't necessarily think it's a you're tying yourself thing. And also, even if you do keep him, if you keep Davante Adams, why does that mean you have to keep Dennis Allen or Derek Carr? It's not, if anything, if you bring him in and the team still loses,
you clear it out.
So these are the 2 scenarios. You bring him in and the team wins and you're tied down at Dennis Allen, that's fine. The team's winning. If we're winning, then you want Dennis Allen. The issue is we were losing. and we didn't want Dennis Allen. If the team is go ahead.
With how good the NFC South is playing, I feel like you got to get him because
to keep up. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Baker right now. I know he might have been hurt earlier while we were starting.
I think he came back in.
Okay. But
if you
the Bucs look phenomenal.
Sorry.
The Falcons look phenomenal. Well, not the Falcons don't look phenomenal. Actually, the Falcons backed into being 2-2 or 3-1 or whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to keep up. You're right.
Yeah. Your two scenarios are he comes in, the team is great, and maybe you end up keeping everybody. But if the team's great, what's the problem with that? Like if everybody's performing and the coach is doing well, why wouldn't you want to keep them? Like I understand getting rid of Dennis Allen was a hot thing, but if the team is good and if you have to start over again, like that's tough, man. You're going to be taking a shot on another coach. Who's to say it works out better? The other scenario is that you bring Davante in, the team performs poorly, and then everybody's gone. Like that gives Dennis Allen even less of an excuse. So like,
I think the question may have been more about Derek Carr, like doubling down on or tripling down on committing to Derek Carr because they're going to be tied together.
I don't think they are. I just don't see that. I don't see how they're tied together. I think Derek Carr is here for however long Derek Carr is here for, regardless of who the receiving core is. Like if the team falls off a cliff and we end up with a top pick and there's a quarterback there, like I don't think they pass on it anymore. Like they showed you by taking Spencer Rattler, they're at least willing to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. Like, no, unless they like view him as the future, maybe they don't draft quarterback. But I don't think Davante Adams has anything to do with Derek Carr. Again, if Derek Carr if you bring him in and Derek Carr doesn't perform well, it's like, hey, we just got you this guy and you're not performing well with all of these weapons. You're not the guy.
Yeah. I mean, that is the fact. That is the truth of it, the reality of how a team should work. But when you get personalities involved, that's when things get icky. If he's here because they're best friends, like if he pushes his way here and then all of a sudden Derek Carr is not his quarterback anymore, then he's in the same situation he's in before, which granted, then you end up getting rid of him. But
he just had an interview. He just had an interview. I don't know which show it was on, but they asked him about that specifically, like how upset he was about them getting rid of Derek Carr in Vegas. And he was like, you know what? I was upset because that was he was like, if he wasn't there, I wouldn't have went. But then he said, I took a step back and realized he's not the first and he won't be the last quarterback that I have a relationship with. And I just had to keep it going because this is a business. So he seems to understand like that's life now.
Does he though? Because like he hasn't really played since. And maybe that's injury, maybe that's whatever, but it feels like it's been a roller coaster for him at the second Derek Carr walked out the door there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, for me, the risk involved with it, whatever those risks are, do not outweigh the positives that could come from it.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate. You know me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Anything else on him before we move on?
I think we touched up pretty much everything.
Yeah. All right. So talk about last week a little bit, and I guess the season overall to an extent. We lose again to the Falcons, a game that, I think we should have won. You probably should have won. We are 2-2 with a defense that has only given up a total of 4 touchdowns. What do you make of that?
It's fucking.
And the Falcons didn't score 1 point on offense.
Exactly.
Field goals.
They kicked field goals. They didn't score a touchdown.
They didn't get a touchdown.
That was we'll just get into the stat. I shared a stat with Dave and Jacob earlier. The Saints are the first team since 1983 to score 24 points, not give up an offensive touchdown, and still lose the game. And the last team to do it was the New Orleans Saints in 1983 against the then Los Angeles Rams, St. Louis Rams. I don't know. It was the Rams. So, yeah, fun fact. There's only been 3 teams in history that have done that. Saints did it twice. It's frustrating, and it sums up as like that's Saints football, right? Which in the bad negative light, like the Saints football that our parents grew up hating. It's just like how it blows your mind.
You know what else is still crazy? That we are still first in the league with points, 127. Yeah.
It's insane. And you're 2-2. You beat yourself. If we get into the reality of it, you beat yourself. Yeah. You muff a punt on the 2-yard line that goes for a touchdown.
You shouldn't have even tried the fair catch to begin with.
Yeah. You shouldn't even have tried to fair catch it. You throw a freak interception. I can't tell if he was trying to get rid of that ball or if he was still trying to make a play. Either way, he's throwing it kind of down and away, hits off a thumb, goes flying 40 feet in the air, turns into a pick six. Like just freak stuff, right? Should he eat the sack? Maybe. Hindsight's 2020, right? Like it's just freak stuff. And like, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't honestly like. I asked y'all, what do you make of it? I don't know. Like, I don't know what. Go ahead, Jacob.
I was say we just beat ourselves. Like it seems like these past 2 games.
It's also and like to add to the muff punt and the interception, like you're talking about. It's self-inflicted wounds with like Paulson Debo getting 3 PI penalties and one of them coming at the worst possible time. Right? Like this,
PI.
That one was PI. I absolutely think it was PI.
That was PI. I'll say this about Adebo because we talked about Adebo earlier. I mentioned this a couple of days ago. Adebo's been real handsy this year, man. I don't know if that's how he's coached. Like he's super physical and not in like a normal way, more in like I'm just going to grab you every play, and if it gets called, it gets called. Which I guess more times than not, it won't get called. But it's just crazy to me watching him play football right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a question. I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask you.
Oh, sorry.
But you're good. Just, I don't know. What do you make of, like, this is 2 weeks in a row of the defense being put in, they play a decent game.
Mm-hmm.
The consensus is that they played well against the Eagles. I already gave my feelings on that last week. But you have that game and then this game, where they play well for 58 minutes of the game, and then they choke it away at the end, and then all the blame goes to Derek Carr and whoever for whatever reason, when it's really on the defense. So what do you make of that? Do you put the blame on the defense? Do you put it on Derek Carr? Is it everybody?
I don't think you put it on Derek Carr. It's got to go on everybody. Derek Carr, Dennis Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not on Derek Carr. I'll be honest. I'm not going to be that guy that sits up here and blames Derek Carr for these losses. Are there some things he could do better? Yeah, but there's a lot of things that could have been done better in these games. What's most frustrating is you're in position to win both of them after mistakes, after these dumb errors that happen by everyone. The pass blocking is still not great right now. That's shown the last 2 games. Carr has no time, none. If you go back and watch, he's got like 2-3 seconds and the ball's got to be out. I think Underhill made a good point. A lot of guys were all over Carr because he's not going through his reads on the goal line on that one play where it looks like the tight end's breaking free. If he even gets to that read, he probably gets blasted or the tight end gets blasted. Like there's things you can look at, but there's things that need to be shored up. Your line's not great. It's banged up. Paulson Adebo's grabbing on defense. It seems like for whatever reason, and I've said this for years, Dennis Allen in clutch defensive moments gets very passive. And it's just like he just lets people walk down the field, and I don't understand that. It's a lot of things.
It was weird in this scenario that, we made the joke during the game, like he's going to go in the prevent, and he didn't. But I don't know. Like, I guess I don't know enough about like that level of X's and O's to be like, oh, did they do this? Did they play this coverage versus that coverage? But like, what happens at the end of these games and I don't even think it's on Dennis Allen. I know you want to say something, but like last week, we don't know if he made the right call. The players ran into each other. Right. This week, we don't know if he made the right call. Paulson Debo's grabbing a dude and pulling him down, and they get in the field goal range. So like, is it actually Dennis Allen, or like, I know there's certain people on Twitter that just immediately blame him, but at some point, it's on the players. Like it is on the execution of the play. And listen, I'm like, if Dennis Allen screws up, I'll bash him. Trust me, we've done it before. But like, I just don't think he's necessarily the problem.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not. I was blaming Dennis Allen in a sense, but I was throwing him in with the whole group of things, right? And I'm talking, I think it happened twice this year going into halftime where it's like passive, whatever. I don't care. We're up. No, these last 2 weeks, the play calls looked right. I mean, this last week he was playing pretty aggressive, playing a lot of man on that last drive, and balls to Debo, grabbed somebody 30 yards down the field, which pushed him in field goal range. Other than that, they were playing great. Week before, I think they were doing a little zone. Maybe I don't know. I don't remember what the coverage was on that one. But yeah, like you're right. They're just not talking. They run into each other. It's execution. In both cases, it's execution, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can put it on him in a sense to be like, Debo's already got 2 of these penalties in the game. You can't put him on an island like that. Like, I guess you can make that argument, but still, like, you're supposed to be the second best cornerback on this team. Like, make a play.
Yeah, you're trusting him. You're trusting him as the defensive coordinator to play the way he's supposed to play. And listen, that's on him.
Right.
I mean, not Allen.
Switching over to the offensive side. Both of y'all had this written down. I had this written down. Taysom goes down again early. I will say this week, it didn't seem like the offense completely fell off the rails when Taysom went down. So when you compare that to how bad it looked without him against Philly, how important is Taysom to the offense? Is he everything like we thought, after the Philly game, or is it more like, I don't know. Where do you stand on it?
I think he's extremely important. I'll say that. I think that after the Philly game, they realized, oh shit, we got to scheme up things that don't involve Taysom Hill, and I think they were more ready for that in the Atlanta game. That's all it was. It was just preparation, right? Like he went down in Philly, and then it was like, what now? I think that they're going to be fine moving forward. But yeah, he's extremely important. If he's in there, he brings the offense to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Jacob, did this game bring like your trust level back up in Kubiak after the Eagles game? Kind of brought it down?
I don't know, kind of brought it up a little bit, but then at some plays he just kind of did the same thing over and over and over again. Like at the goal line, he ran. I don't know, some of the play calls are a little shaky.
You look at that and you think, did they practice red zone offense without Taysom Hill this week? You know what I mean? Like that's my first thought. Yeah. And I think that that's something else they're going to have to look at going forward and realize, hey, we need something in this situation that does not include Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because like he plays the Jamal Williams role in a sense. I wonder if they're just not getting from Jamal what their hope they would get.
Yeah,
like in those scenarios, you would imagine if Jamal was performing like he was expected to, you wouldn't have to go to Taysom every time. Granted, Taysom is he's got more speed, he's got a little more power, but like Jamal should be able to get you those short yardage plays like Taysom Hill does, right? And I wonder if it's just like a lack of trust in Jamal he's looked a little better than last year, but it's still not great.
Yeah, he's got 30 touches on the season. He's been healthy the whole year. Like they're not really giving him the ball much either. So
right. Sticking with the running backs, and we'll get into the injury report here shortly, but Kendre came back to practice today. I don't know if he's playing this week or not. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I think he was limited today, so we'll see. What does having Kendre add to the offense?
Oh, it brings a lot. Like especially when Jamal, not going well with him, throw him in there and brings more of like a spark to the offense, and it gives Kamara a break.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what Kendre looks like coming off of injury. First of all, if he's still got the step that he had, that step that he had last year and in the preseason and things like that, this dude looked good. Like he was going to be really good, right? He just couldn't stay healthy. If he can bring that, I think that's just another weapon, right? You got 2-3 running backs you can throw in there with Taysom healthy. Yeah, I mean, give me Davante too, and let's roll.
I was going to say having Kendre in the backfield could also give you that second weapon or that other weapon in Alvin lined up in the slot and things like that. I think just having a speed back in general will be amazing for this offense. Like I feel like we haven't seen a speed back on this team in years. Like I guess Alvin in a sense, but he's not a speed guy in the sense of like Kendre. Like he doesn't have that level of of burst. I don't think like that gear. Like Kendrick seems like he can hit that extra gear when he hits the open field. Like when's the last time you've seen the Saints have a 20-yard run?
Didn't Alvin have one?
I don't know if he's had one. No, he had the screen in Dallas. That was.
Is Taysom had one this year? No,
I don't think anybody has one this year.
I'll have to look it up. You might be right. I think the thing with Alvin that's interesting, I think he does have that burst. I think Alvin is just so patient. He like Kendra is just like balls to the wall. Like I'm flying through here. Get out the way. Kind of like Taysom Hill, right? Like he's gonna hit the hole. He's gonna hit it hard, and he's gonna burst. Slightly different. Kamar's got like that Le'Veon Bell. I'm gonna wait 20 minutes. I'm gonna find the hole. I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna wait for my blockers.
No, nobody has that level of patience. I've never seen anything else like that. That was truly amazing when he's that. Let's get into Kansas City this week. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about as far as struggles go, and things like that.
No. Shout out to I can't remember what's the center's name that we played this week. Shane Lemieux. Is that it?
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy for just being there.
Just existing. All right.
Terrible. I'll give him credit.
We got Kansas City Monday, right? Yeah, Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night
football in Kansas City. I'm going to start by reading off this Winn-Dixie receipt that is the injury report. Shout out to Jacob for that joke there. So if you got anything to do, now's the time to do it because I'm gonna read this. All right, are y'all ready? You ready to lock in? We got Taysom Hill. Oh wait, sorry, I missed one person already. Willie Gay did not practice. Taysom Hill did not practice. Cesar Ruiz did not practice. Shane Lemieux, damn it, did not practice. Peyton Turner got a sack. Now he's hurt. Did not practice. Blake Groupie, how is he hurt? Didn't practice. Demario Davis limited. He's practicing again, so that's good. Fuaga limited. Alvin limited. Which they said Alvin played through broken ribs. Shout out to him.
Crazy.
You want to give a shout out to somebody because he didn't miss a step.
Just get it done.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Shout out to Alvin. A.T. Perry limited. Jawan limited. Brzee limited. Kendre, we just talked about him. Olave full practice, which is good because he came up a little bit injured on one of those plays. And Cedric Wilson full practice.
Yeah. I'll say this. Today's their first day of practice, right? This week because they're playing Monday.
Of course.
No, I think normally Wednesday is their like veteran rest day, and they'll throw a lot of people on the injury report. But like that's a Dennis Allen staple. So I'm hoping tomorrow this looks slightly different. That's what I'm going to keep my eyes on. And I'm saying this today. This podcast is going to come out after the fact, so it's going to look silly. But I'm hoping the Friday injury report looks a lot different than the Thursday injury report. I'm going to hold my breath.
Yeah, this reminds me of the COVID years when it was just like a million people on the injury list.
You're the starting quarterback this week, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, coach.
Well, besides the amount of injuries, what are your main concerns heading into Kansas City?
Trying to stop Patrick Mahomes is a big one, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, that is going to be the key. I'm thinking of their team. Their defense is good. I'm thinking of Chris Jones.
Trying to contain him.
I think that's going to be tough. Can you get the offense going? I think if you can get the offense going, you may have a shot. I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to say, can you control Chris Jones like you did Micah Parsons?
Right. That's what I'm wondering. And they've shown the last 2 weeks that they have not been able to control the pass rush as well as they did against Dallas. I mean, people are getting in Derek Carr's face, whether it's from the edge, whether it's up the middle. It's coming from everywhere. They lose Rashee Rice. Kelsey has not looked like himself. He's getting older. They don't have a running back. Like there's a few issues on that team.
Is Pacheco playing?
Is Pacheco playing again? I didn't think he was.
Pacheco's out for like almost the whole season.
Yeah,
he'll be back.
So is Rashee 9 weeks or so. Right?
Rashee Rice went on IR today. Clyde returned to practice today, so they'll probably have him, and Kareem Hunt is back. Yeah. He got most of the touches last week. So they're basically like back to the to the backfield they had a few years ago.
Right.
Just older.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to get your offense going. If you can get your offense going, I think you got a shot, right? They got a lot of speed with what's his name, the little speedy wide receiver who seems to make a play
Xavier
every
Worthy.
week. Yeah, Xavier
Yep.
Worthy. That dude's they were like, oh, we don't have Tyreek. Guess what? Let's go find another one. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be the guy to watch on their team, I think. And then Patrick Mahomes is just a magic man. So, but
Yeah. Their offense, it's kind of weird that they're 4-0 somehow because they're clearly not as good as they were last year. They're all, at least their offense. Their offense is not anything to write home about right now. I think that long pass that he had to Worthy last week, they said it was his first pass like over 50 yards in a long time, which is insane when you think about Mahomes. I was watching the Dominique Foxworth show yesterday, and he was saying that he thinks Patrick Mahomes actually is one of the biggest problems with their offense right now, that he just looks uncomfortable at the moment.
yeah.
So I know, Jacob, you mentioned in your notes about the pass rush. If you can start getting to Patrick Mahomes and making him uncomfortable, that seems to be the key. But can we do it?
I think doing a lot of those packages with Lante Taylor, line up in the slot, doing those blitzes, trying to get him to get to Mahomes. That seems to have worked a lot. So,
is it concerning that he's the one that's having to get the sacks right now?
Very concerning. Because besides Granderson,
yeah, Granderson also. Sorry,
nobody else is really getting pressure.
Well, Brazil's been getting pressure. The defense has been getting pressure. They're just not getting the quarterback to the ground.
Yeah,
which is extremely frustrating.
Seemed like Kirk Cousins had like all day to throw.
Yeah, he did
last week
on a few occasions, and that was first time I think I called out Chase Young, where it's like, bro, like I know you got it in you, and I'm watching you just stand up with the tackle. Like you're not even going. Can we get some effort? I think that's concerning. You know.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think this. It feels like you're going against the boogeyman right now, like it used to in the past with the Chiefs. I know they're 4-0. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. Mahomes is Mahomes, right? Like if
Right.
This is another game where they end up with the ball with 2 minutes left, we can pack it up. Like that dude is gonna drive, you know. But I don't feel like this is the Chiefs where you need to be afraid in their current state. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, you're going to Kansas City, this is an automatic loss.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be easy, but this is a game you can win. Like I don't know. I don't know what needs to come to the offensive line is the key. Like I keep saying, if they got to protect Derek Carr. We've seen it. If they can do that, this offense works. So the questions are whether they can do that. And then if Mahomes gets flustered, he starts making mistakes, maybe he'll injure another receiver. You know, hey.
Blaming Mahomes for throwing hospital balls?
No, you didn't see how Rashee Rice got hurt?
No,
He
I actually
tackled
didn't.
him.
He threw the interception, and then he missed the tackle on the DB, and he took out Rashee Rice's knee.
Nobody cares, but I have Mahomes to blame for injuring one of my top fantasy wide receivers. That's
right. That's right. Yeah. So what? I don't have a ton of stuff about KC. I mean,
you look at their games. So they beat the Ravens week 1. When the Ravens clearly didn't know who they were yet, right? They weren't running the ball. The Ravens looked weird week 1. It looked like they weren't sure what to be on offense. They had no identity. They still barely lost on a fluke call late at the end of the game. They beat the Falcons.
They beat the Bengals week 2 on what that another pass interference call that wasn't called.
Right. Like they very well could be 1-3 right now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super. I don't think they're going to blow us out or anything. I think they're a smart team. Andy Reid's a smart coach. They're going to keep them in the game, and they're going to have an opportunity to win. It's the Tom Brady stuff with the Patriots all over again, right? Like they're smart, and they're going to be in the game, and they're going to find a way to try and win it.
Yeah, Spags versus Dennis Allen. That's kind of a fun defensive matchup right there. I was asking. This is nothing really to do with the Saints, but it is a Spags question. Can you go into the Hall of Fame as a coordinator?
Yeah, I think so.
Because he absolutely should be a Hall of Famer, right? If that's the case. He's got like 4 rings.
Sure. I can never. He is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. I can never get over how bad the defense was for the Saints with him as the defensive coordinator. I mean,
makes no
record-breaking
sense.
bad. Yeah, like worst defense of almost of all time.
Feels like it was on purpose. Had to be. Like I don't understand it, man. I really don't.
I thought he was cooked, and then he goes
Yeah.
somewhere else, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I don't remember the last time the Saints played Mahomes. That's what I wanted to look up to see how that went. It was fairly recently, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm trying to think back.
I know we played him in the preseason recently.
Yeah, they came here for the preseason.
But October 7th, 2024. Oh, that's this week. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I was just trying to figure that out to see how he did against us, but it's kind of irrelevant, I guess. Oh, 2020, we lost 32-29.
Drew Brees.
That feels high scoring. I'm going to be honest. I don't know that either team gets to 30 points this game.
We'll see.
No,
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. This team has thrown me for a loop. So
is this a must-win game?
I mean,
I wouldn't say must. You do want to win it, but it's not like it's a season,
derailing
kind of loss. It's an AFC team, so
yeah,
it just feels
a tough
tough.
stretch coming up.
You lose 3 straight. That's rough.
it is.
Yeah,
That's rough.
and it's not getting easier. I mean, what's the schedule after that? Right, you got like 4 tough games in a row here.
Tampa Bay next, is that?
Yeah,
right?
Tampa's rolling right now.
It is Tampa. Where am I? Yep. It is Tampa on the 13th. Broncos 4 days later.
Which is going to be tough. I don't care who you are. Sean Payton is coming for blood.
Listen, Bo Nix looked solid the last game. I think didn't the Broncos just win like 2 straight?
Yeah.
Like Bo Nix is only going to get better in that offense. That's going to be a tough game. Chargers after that, which I think and then the Panthers, which are a totally different team than the team you played in week 1.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't get any easier at all for them. You don't get an easier game until November 17th against the Browns.
Yeah.
So
it's not a must win to answer your question, but you don't want to lose 3 in a row, especially not going into the game against another division rival, right? Like,
right. I don't know. I don't have anything else on Kansas City. We've been going for a little while, so if you want to do our touchdown.
Yes, anytime touchdown. So in case you guys are just joining us, we normally will close out with an anytime touchdown score from the upcoming Saints game. I don't remember who I picked last week. I always forget. Do you remember who you picked last week, Jacob?
I can't remember.
We need to start writing this stuff down. Dave, who'd you pick last week?
I don't know. The beauty is all of this is recorded and on YouTube. So you should go watch them back and let us know. I'll take Juwan this week.
Okay. What about you? I know who I picked last week because I've been on a theme here.
Take Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Oh, are you about to take Kareem Hunt?
I'm taking Kareem Hunt. I've been taking the opposing team's running backs almost every week. And I'll be honest, it's kind of worked out here and there. The one time I took Taysom Hill, he did not score and he got injured. So,
I don't know who I took last week, but I don't really get hit. So that's life. All right, wrap us up, Patty.
Yeah, that's it. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning into that Saints pod. Obviously, we try to break things down as much as we can from our small football intellect. We got a little bit here. But we also love giving you fan takes, thoughts, all that stuff. So feel free to chime in the comments if you think we're wrong. We'd love to talk about it more. If you have questions or thoughts on things, you want us to talk about other things, shout it out, put it out there. We'll definitely mention you on the show, talk about your topic. And yeah, until then, follow us everywhere. Follow at Be in the Know, follow at Big Easy Nation. Both of them on Twitter, Instagram, not YouTube for Big Easy Nation, but definitely follow at Be in the Know on YouTube. And that's it. Until next time, who dat, y'all?